Hey, what's up? It's Jim. Today is Tuesday, and today's film is Pusher. This drug dealer named Frank, who's played by Kim Bodina. You see him dealing drugs and having a good time and making lots of money. He meets up with this Swedish guy who is his cellmate at one point in the past, and he wants to pick up some heroin. Frank sets this up. He already owes money to this his supplier, quite a bit of money, but he's going to let him do it because then he'll pay him back and give him some money he owes him. That deal goes wrong when the cops cut them off, and then he runs, and all the heroin winds up either in the air, because when they're running it all when a lot of it went up in a cloud and the rest of it went in the river. And so then he has to try and pay back this drug dealer, and it keeps getting worse. It keeps, anytime he gets a break, something goes wrong. It just gets worse and worse, even though Frank is trying as hard as he can. Sometimes it's like because of his own stupidity, and sometimes it's because he just gets screwed over by something he has no control over. It's mostly that. It reminds me of a noir in that sense, just the description of it, but it's not very noir-ish. I feel like it's very modern. This film takes place in Copenhagen, in Denmark, and it was shot with very low budget. This movie began as a 5-minute short that Nicolas Winding Refn made for film school with his application, and then he didn't get into film school, so he decided, oh well, who cares, I'm just going to raise the money myself and make this into a feature. So that's what he did. He raised about $1 million, and then after he raised the funds, they actually accepted him into film school, but he just decided to quit, and he claims to be the only Danish person to quit film school. I doubt that's true, but hey, it's a nice thing to say. Let's go with it. This became a huge hit in Denmark and throughout Europe. It has a cool European 90s vibe to it. That kind of cool European leather jacket, smoking cigarettes, kind of 90s feel to it that I really got from this. I mean, they go into a rave at one point. I kind of like the existential idea of just somebody who's keeps trying and trying and keeps failing. It makes for a nice kind of existential dilemma adventure, because it's you want to root for him, but things just keep getting worse and worse for him. For a first film, it's very ambitious. It's low-key. You can tell it's kind of it's a 90s independent film. They didn't have a lot of money, but they knew how to use the little money they had very effectively, and they got a good actor in Kim Bodina. Apparently they had another guy cast before, and he was very static and still, and everyone rehearsed with that guy, but then they brought in Kim Bodina at the last minute, and so everyone, when they looked shocked at his actions, really shocked, they didn't know, they weren't used to that portrayal of the character, which I think is kind of interesting, because I didn't know that when I was watching it, but it really comes across that he's shocking because of that fact. He used a lot of handheld kind of documentary feel, which I think was kind of new and hipper in the 90s, and I think this came out in 1996. I think it gives it kind of a cool aesthetic and understands how to use that documentary feel, and not just a gimmick. Now when we use it, it's half of what that thing's about, but you almost don't notice it. It makes that documentary footage look almost that much better because it draws you in more, because you're not thinking about it being documentary footage. You're just thinking about the story, which is something I also like about Pusher, because in the middle I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of handheld documentary footage. I didn't introduce this film and go, this is shot like a documentary. I talk about the plot. This film works really well aesthetically because the aesthetics aren't overpowering it. The aesthetics work within the story very well. I definitely like its spirit. It's not the best directed movie. I think Nicolas Winding Refn could direct this a lot better now, but for what it is and what it's trying to be, I think it's very good at it. Thank you very much for watching, Rough Cut viewers, and subscribe to my main channel, as well as follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, and potentially VHX. And remember to follow Earl Barrett Holloway's Tumblr as well, who does the picture at the beginning and end of this video. And I hope to see you next Tuesday.